Hello and welcome to the Eye on the U podcast, the Miami Herald's Miami Hurricanes podcast. I'm David Wilson. I'm joined, as always, on the other line. She's ready for college football season. It's Susan Miller-Degnan, our Hurricanes beat writer here at the Herald. Susan, it is game day. At least when this episode goes up, it is game day. Really, it's game day. We're talking Thursday, early evening. We both wanted to get this done in time to watch Florida, Utah tonight. A couple other good Nebraska.
It's not Utah, is it? That's the U.
Don't they do it like I think the single fingers?
No, they do it like this or something like this.
Yeah, they do the single fingers, I think, instead of the full hand.
Which the I don't know what the I don't know what you would call them, but some people do that for UM, and they're not real.
Yeah.
They're not the real Miami.
We'll get to the real Miami a little later on.
Imposters.
We've got obviously a lot to talk about this week. Season kicks off on Friday night, 7 p.m. Miami versus Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. As we said, college football is back. Games will already be in the books. I mean, I guess games are already, but the week one will have already kicked off by the time people are listening to this. We will obviously dive into a little bit of Miami, Ohio, a little later on. We're also going to kind of like do a bigger picture Canes preview sort of thing. But let's start, I guess, with the news of the week, which is the status of Tyler Van Dyke. That's obviously been the hot topic after Cane Sport reported that he is dealing with a finger injury. The party line coming out of Coral Gables from everyone asked about it has been 100%. So we'll see exactly what his status is. Again, it's Miami of Ohio, so I think if he's not perfect, it's not a bad time to be imperfect. You got to just get ready for that Texas A&M game, but no one seems overly concerned there, at least not public facing.
Right. I mean, I think he's playing.
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play.
Me too. They just named him the captain.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to fake out Miami of Ohio. So, I mean, Tyler's going to play. I don't disbelieve the reports at all because I know I've talked to multiple people inside, outside, and, it's a matter of the extent of, the injury or whatever you want to call it, the soreness or after he banged his hand. I mean, we weren't there. Remember, we have not seen anything for a long time. It's been a couple weeks at least.
The scrimmage the last time?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. The scrimmage was awesome. The scrimmage was really fun. That was the only real time we got to see them. Otherwise, it was, you and I I was at all the practices, but the practices, the viewing was like stretching, right? They call it flex.
Right.
And then we got to see like another 10 minutes, but as we got more into fall camp, they were booting us out early. It was basically stretching and a little bit of throwing, and then they stopped letting us see any kind of even position drills. We didn't really see other than throwing the ball into a target or something like that for quarterback. So we really haven't seen much, So all these reports that we haven't seen the players.
Yeah. So hard to really know. Again, it's Miami of Ohio. Like I'm not, it's a finger injury. Like it happened, guys bang their hands on helmets every year, right? Like it's obviously not ideal that it's happened early in the season, but like, Nixon, it's the kind of thing that if it was in the middle of the season, I don't think like would be, it'd be a story, but there's just not a whole lot else to talk about right now.
Oh, I mean, I agree, but I'm always a little more worried about that kind of stuff because I think, first of all, it's always going to be underplayed, whatever it is that happened, either underplayed or overplayed by the reports. I'm not sure which, but if you bang your hand, it just depends. You bang your thumb.
I mean, isn't it famously Ja'Cory Harris was like never the same after?
Yeah, I mean, you bang your hand. Supposedly it was his thumb or that area of his thumb. I mean, if you're a quarterback, you need your thumb. You're gripping the ball. I'm not trying to make a bigger deal out of it like fans think. I'm not. I just I think it's a reality of it. You know, I just hope he's okay, because he's a great guy. He was a excellent quarterback in 2021. Horrible things happened last year. Poor guy, played probably when he should not have played towards the end. And he was a trooper, man. It really, really went through a lot. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing him, you know, at 100%.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess the other reason that we talk about this is just because of the injuries he had last year, right? And we saw firsthand how important he is to this team. Not that the team was incredible when he was out there, but you know, they make a bowl game if he's the quarterback, right? They probably win a couple more games.
Not only that, now they have a team that's much, I think, better.
Yeah, better team and a thinner quarterback room. You know, obviously Jakari is more experienced than he was this time a year ago. But this time a year ago, we thought Jake Garcia was the backup quarterback, and obviously he's now in Missouri. So, you know, the backup quarterback situation is you got Jakari, who's interesting, right? Still, I know it's, you know, his spring has been, or his preseason when we've seen him, not been like overwhelmingly impressive. And again, it's just preseason practice, but whatever. And obviously they're, you know, he was mixed, results were mixed with him last year. And then Emory Williams is the other quarterback who, like, you know,
it's a true freshman.
Never seen him. He's the Jakari. Jakari was kind of the third guy last year. That's Emory's in that Jakari position. And you know, I know recruiting rankings at this point like don't mean everything, but Jakari was a pretty highly ranked quarterback. Emory, like, you know, although I think he's been impressive, it's not like he can't comes in with the same pedigree that you know, Jakari did, Jake did, Tyler did. Like there's question marks. There's more question marks behind Tyler than I think there were a year ago.
Behind
Tyler, more question marks behind him. The backup situation.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. I'm feeling good about Emory, but he's a freshman.
He's a freshman,
freshman, and we don't know what's going to happen if he gets in there. Jakari, we kind of know more. We know we know what he's really great at, and we know what he's struggled at, which is passes. No matter how much they say he's improved, we just have to see it, you know. And I'm not from people. I don't know, from people I've heard, he might have struggled a little again with his accuracy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him in the one time we saw him was the scrimmage, and it was, you know, not the most impressive performance. But again, we've also seen him that Georgia Tech game. I know Georgia Tech wasn't particularly good last year, but like, you know, that was something. That was something to like draw from. So hopefully Tyler's fine. I expect, like you said, we'd both be shocked if he doesn't play. Everyone around the program says he's fine. So you know, we're both rooting a little bit just to see him play because we know how good he can be and haven't gotten to see it in a while. By the way, we talked last week about his jujitsu training. And Tua, I said I hadn't read Daniel's story, anything about what Tua did in the offseason, but the exact same storyline with the two quarterbacks, just pretty funny.
It is pretty funny, actually. You're right. I started laughing when I saw it. So
we'll see if Tua and Tyler both have big years. Every quarterback will be going to get jujitsu training next offseason.
True.
That might be the secret to everlasting life as a quarterback. Real quick, let's talk about the Battle of Miami. Miami versus Miami, the battle for the real Miami, as you the Confusion Bowl, as you cited in your advance to a 70-year-old Atlanta Journal-Constitution story, right? Was that where you got it? Where the name originated from?
Not Atlanta Journal. I did learn that the Atlanta Journal merged with the Constitution.
It was just the Atlanta Journal.
I had to look
okay.
that up.
Yes, I just put the Constitution there in my brain.
Yeah, me too. That's why I looked it up.
Anyway, I don't think we need to preview a whole lot of this game, although I was interested to learn that Miami of Ohio's quarterback is Brett Gabbert, Blaine Gabbert's brother, right? That was
right.
The
City Chiefs. His older brother.
Former top 10 pick, I think, was Blaine Gabbert.
And of course, Missouri? Missouri,
Yeah,
right?
Missouri. He was good. Went to the
Yeah.
Jags and never really panned out. But obviously the story of the week was him getting asked up in Oxford, Ohio. Someone asked the real Miami is where, and he said Oxford, Ohio.
Yeah.
And
He said they said and you know whatever they said the real, but yeah, the real Miami is where, and then the reporter started saying
Coral Gables.
in Coral Gables. And then he started saying, you know, or Oxford, and then Gabbard said, nope, Oxford, Ohio. So I liked him there, and he said, I think we'll show him September 1st, which was great.
Miami, for their part, really kind of like not dignifying it, at least in the press, right? Cam Kinchins, Ruben Bain both kind of blew the comments off, say they don't need extra motivation. I'm sure they all saw the clip.
Yeah,
So.
I was just gonna say it's one of those you know, be cool in public, but look what they said about us.
Yeah, exactly.
Or yeah, whatever.
I think they're gonna, you know, they're big brother here, right? They're not gonna dignify that with a response, but you know, after they win, if they win, assuming they win,
right.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some Twitter post or something about it, or someone sacks him and puts a little extra little mustard on it. Like
even if there's no Twitter post, there's going to be some kind of post
or a video of them celebrating in the locker room or something about it. You know, like they know about it. It is a fun wrinkle to this whole thing, because if not, this would be
it's really fun.
Kind of a boring, like whatever, Miami versus a MAC team. I mean, the Miami was fun enough as it was. And yeah, it's a nice little wrinkle to throw in.
But you know,
maybe this can become the start of a beautiful rivalry, a beautiful random.
I love it.
Like play them every year.
I love it. But you know, actually, you know, when I looked up stuff about Brett Gabbert, he very interesting, kind of like parallel with TBD. So last year he only played in 4 games, and he hurt in the opener against Kentucky. He had a good game, I think, and he hurt very badly his clavicle, and he had to have surgery. Okay, after that, and then he came back. Actually, I think he came back the same day, October 22nd, that TBD, that Tyler Van Dyke injured his shoulder. You know, Tyler, was playing Duke, and anyway, so Gabbert came back October 22nd, but then I think like 3 games later, maybe, he hurt his ankle. He did something with his ankle. And let's see here. He said, it said, clavicle injury. Yeah. Stated ankle injury. Okay. Sorry. That ended his season. So he only played in 4 games last year. Right. But in 2000, and then of course, you know, Tyler, just 2 games, he basically didn't play last year at the end. Right. And he hurt himself October 22nd. So he missed the second half of the season. But then in 2021, both quarterbacks had their best seasons. Gabbert started 10 games. He finished the season with 2,648 yards and 26 touchdowns with 6 interceptions, right? So Van Dyke finished that year, 2021, 2,931 yards with 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Now, I know they play different competition, but I thought that was pretty cool. A very, very similar type of stats. So, I mean, I think Gabbert.
Yeah, he's a talent. He's a good player. I don't know if he's like, you know, I think about when Miami, I was watching, was it I think Dolphins, who were they playing the preseason? Falcons? And Logan Woodside was in at quarterback for the Falcons, and I was thinking about when he was at Toledo and played against Miami. I don't know if this is that situation, but Gabbert's a good player, and I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about Miami of Ohio on here, but you know, MAC is not horrible competition, right? Like pretty good, like the 2 you should be playing in week 1 unless you got a big marquee game. So, yeah, it'll be a nice little test, I think, for Miami's defense.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You want to get your coffee?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to take 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hold on. I already heated the milk. 16 minutes, David. You know what? That's 8 minutes past it's supposed to be.
I'm sorry.
Don't
Could
be
have cut me off.
What? Hold on. I'll have UN fans complaining that I'm eating and drinking during this. Okay. And now, are you the one that actually cuts it?
Yeah.
So. Oh man, is that pretty good? I got this one is dark roast Peruvian. I just ordered 2 dark roast Brazil. Oh shit, that's good. Okay, now don't cut it off in the right place. Okay. I look kind of goofy.
Yeah, just give me like, let's do 5 seconds of quiet so that I see the little where I need to go, you know. Okay, like we said, this is our last episode before the regular season starts. So let's do like a little season preview. We obviously have done bits and pieces of it last week. I think we did a pretty good rundown just like of the entire roster and what to kind of expect position by position. So if you missed that, be sure to check that out. It's a nice little, I think, companion piece to what we're going to close out with here. Let's make some predictions. Not necessarily go game by game, but should we start with the like big picture, or do you want to do some of the individual? Let's start big picture, I guess,
yeah,
and then
big
we'll go more refined as we go on. First one I got, how many wins for Miami this year? The obvious one. Where do we think?
I mean, okay. I think it's either going to be 8-4 or 9-3. If I had to pick one, I would say 8-4. But I'm just saying now, okay, that it could be 9-3. I don't see. I've seen a couple of people say 10-2. I just don't see 10-2.
It's gonna be hard. You'd have to like not mess up, and you'd have to beat North Carolina.
If it's 10-2, God bless them. Okay, that would be an amazing turnaround. Yeah. Okay, but I see more in 8-4. I mean, are you going to ask me like teams or what I'm thinking?
All right, yeah. So I think 8-4. I'm actually I'm surprised. I'm looking at the over unders right now on FanDuel, not a sponsor. And sports gambling is illegal in Florida anyway. So, but they have the over under for Miami at 7.5. Like, it feels like a pretty good number. Like, if Miami only goes 7-5, I think it'd be a disappointment.
Yes.
Again, like.
Disappointment.
So we look at the schedule, like, you know, you pencil in a loss to Clemson, right?
Yes.
You pencil in a loss to Florida State. I know it's a rivalry, but as we've won, Florida State's good this year. And as we've said a lot, is that rivalry goes and runs. And right now we're in a Florida State run. They've won 2 in a row there after Miami won 4 in a row, I think, before that. Like, they'd won a bunch in a row, 4 or 5 in a row. That rivalry goes and runs. So, okay. 10-2. I think anyone who says 10-2, they're like, run the table otherwise.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw Miami go through a season?
Screw up. I mean, right.
Screw up something they were supposed to win.
Even 2017, they lost obviously to Pitt at the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean,
so the other one there, I mean, North Carolina is one they'll definitely be an underdog. I mean, like if you just looked at right now, obviously we don't know what the situation's going to be by then. But right now at North Carolina, Drake Meza, really Heisman good favorite. I think they got a shot to win that game. North Carolina's defense, I think, is probably going to be pretty terrible this year. I'm very excited to watch them play South Carolina, by the way, on Saturday night. I think that'll be a good litmus test to see where both those teams are, honestly. So, okay, like that would be the 9-3 scenario, right? Is those are your 3 losses probably?
I think, yeah. I mean, look at all of this. People have to know this is, this is on paper. It doesn't mean anything, right. Okay? But from what we know, I mean, I would say FSU. If you're going to name 3 teams that they're going to lose to, let's say 3 right away, you'd say FSU, Clemson, and either North Carolina or Texas A&M. Although personally, I don't know. I have every time I have a good feeling about a game, the opposite happens, but I just have this, I don't know. I have to look up more about Texas A&M, but
Yeah.
I think UM could win, beat Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so. I mean, they were every bit as like awful as Miami last year. I know they have Bobby Petrino now. I know they have more talent based on the way they've recruited.
Right.
But yeah, this game's at home this year. Miami probably should have won that game last year. Just could not score in the red zone at all. And fumbled a punt, right? There was a muff punt that was very costly for them in that game.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the preseason ACC poll, they had Clemson 1, Florida State 2, North Carolina 3, NC State 4, Miami 5. Like, that means they're basically, people expect 4 losses from them, right? Like, you lose to those 4 teams ahead of you, and then you throw in, I guess, Texas A&M. That's how you get to 7, if it's a 7-5 year. But like you said, I think they could beat Texas A&M. Like, I think other than Clemson and Florida State, there's not a game that I look at right now and I'm like, they got no shot in that game.
Yeah, I agree. I think right, Clemson and FSU are the ones.
They're clear. Those are the clear top 2 in the ACC right now. And
Right.
obviously, you don't know how it'll shake out, but
are we just doing ACC now? Or this?
No, I was just talking big picture. Yeah.
So I mean, Texas A&M is a question mark, although I think UM could win. Of course, the UNC, and I also think we're going to talk about the ACC. That Louisville also is. I don't know. I don't know. I could be a question mark. Although
they have a good coach.
But that's at home. I think that's at UM. That game.
Yeah, I mean, at NC State is.
At NC State, that could be one that's one of those that you know, whatever. So it just depends on how. So much depends on injuries.
Yeah, well, so much I think depends on Tyler Van Dyke, right? Like that is Tyler Van Dyke and probably the offensive line, right? They played a lot of offensive linemen last year.
Yes.
You know, if they just have those 5 guys, plus who knows what happens to Zion, is obviously that's always the asterisk on all this. But if they get through the year unscathed with that offensive line, they should be really good. Obviously, if Tyler stays healthy all year,
I agree.
They could win 8-9 games, so they can compete with anyone, right?
Like 9 games. Yep, I agree. If the O-line stays really healthy and is as good as they say, and Tyler stays healthy, I definitely think they could go 9-3. That's why I have both of those kind of my mind.
Yeah. I think 8-4. Where do you think they finish in the ACC?
I think they finish 5-3. I think they lose to Clemson and FSU. And then that one other one they're not supposed to lose.
Whether it's North Carolina, NC State,
Louisville.
Or something crazy, right?
Or something like Georgia Tech. No, I don't think so.
I mean, the rest of the schedule, I mean, Virginia is pretty rough. Georgia Tech's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Boston College, I think the expectations are going to be a little improved, but still, like.
I don't think so.
The only thing that makes me worried is that's that exact time slot where they lost to Pitt in 2017. Right?
I know, and it's at Boston College.
Yeah.
Oh God, what a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would basically line them up to finish 4th in the conference, basically.
What do you think? What do you think they'll go in the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we both think they're going to go 8-4,
oh, right.
That's like 5-3 in the ACC, maybe 4-4 if you think they lose to, or if you think they beat, Texas A&M. So, yeah, I mean, I think I think they finish.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, that's an ACC.
I think they finished 4th in the ACC. I think they finished behind Clemson, Florida State, and they're going to lose a game somewhere. So that drops them behind someone else.
And the thing is, let's remind people that this year,
right? No divisions.
No division. I'm so happy about it. I like it's so much better. Just take the 2 best teams. If you want to help the conference out, take the 2 best teams to play each other. It's just not fair the other way. It's not fair.
Yeah, there's basically like never been a good ACC championship game because of that rule. Like I was the best one, the Wake Pitt one a couple years ago, and even that that just had the Kenny Pickett fake slide. That's all I remember from that game. Okay, some individual stuff. or not in, but okay. Three other topics I had that I wanted to hit on to kind of hit
Okay.
on some of the big
Sure.
picture stuff. Some of it we talked about last week. But I think there are two positions where we've talked a lot about, like, they got some interesting guys in a lot of spots, but they don't have like the one guy. Kind of inverse, because I think one of these position groups is really strong. One I think is not as strong. Let's start with that one. Who do you think
Okay.
leads this team in receiving yards? I didn't do receptions because I think Xavier Restrepo is like definitely going to lead the team in catches if he stays healthy, but yards
Yeah,
is a different question.
it's funny. I was looking at the stats and I'm like, okay, I know this sounds so funny. If I would say, is it X Xavier or is it Colby Young, who's the 6'5" outside big guy,
Yeah.
who I think is a real great talent. I really do.
Yeah.
I was looking, and so I'm looking and I'm seeing last year Colby played in 10 games. He had 367 yards and 10 catches, right? 11.5-yard average, right?
Yep.
And then X, so that was 10 games, right? X had 240 yards in 7 games only. Remember, he had broken his foot or whatever he did, whatever, the metatarsal, I think he said.
Missed a lot of time early in the year.
Yeah, he missed a lot of, and he had 21 catches as opposed to 32 for 240 yards for 11.4 yards, like the exact same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just so you know, in 7 games, I mean, if you make me say one, I would have to say Colby, because if they're really gonna stretch the field and go vertical, how can you got to go to the big guy. He has really nice hands. He's, I'm very excited about him.
I think it's Colby too. I've pointed it out a lot. Like, he was awesome for 2 weeks when Tyler Van Dyke was out there, basically. He kind of came on, it was like the end of the North Carolina game, right? He has 3 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown in that game. Then the next week they go to Virginia Tech and he goes off, 9 catches, 101 yards and a touchdown. And then the Duke game, he had a long touchdown catch from Jake Garcia in that game, but that's obviously the last time we see Tyler that year, and he has 6 catches for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. And
that's a
then
really good point. Yeah.
And then the rest of the year he has less than 100 receiving yards total. So like, he was legitimately great when Tyler was out there. If Tyler, like, they have a relationship, like, obviously we all talk about the Tyler Restrepo relationship, which is real. Like, that's why I think there's no doubt that he's going to lead the team in catches if he stays healthy. Tyler likes to throw to those slot guys. Xavier Restrepo that's like his wheelhouse. But Tyler has a real connection with Colby Young, at least in a very small sample size. We saw him have like what he had with Charleston Rambo. I've compared them. They're very different players, but the way that he would just trust Charleston Rambo to win his one-on-one matchups on the outside, he's the same with Colby.
I mean, I agree. I think he has the best connection with Xavier.
Yes,
personally, but how can we not say Colby if they're really going to go vertical, if they really have a good offensive line, if they really have a really good running back core, which I think they do. I think their running backs are better in every way. And I think I actually think they're gonna run more and be better at running, and I think it's gonna make it harder for defenses, and then they're gonna be able to toss some long balls.
Yeah, so I guess the X factor here would be Jacoby George, who's like the kind of combination of the two, right? Yeah. Where can play both in the middle and on the outside. So
and they'll put in, I think they're gonna at times, like we're not really sure I don't think their tight ends are in good shape right now physically, or totally ready. So I think they will maybe have extra receivers or maybe an extra blocking, believe it or not, a lineman.
They did that last year with Inez Cooper before he became the guard.
I think they're gonna have a lineman like as a tight end kind of thing, blocking whatever. So anyway, go ahead.
The flip side of this is the position group that we've both kind of raved about over the last couple of weeks: defensive line. Who do you think leads this team in sacks?
Okay, I think Akeem Mesidor, who has 7.
He's probably the favorite, right? Akeem.
Well, he had 7 last year. If he's healthy, he's had some injury issues even in fall, but if he really is healthy, like Lance Guidry said he is, but who knows? I think he had 7 sacks last year.
Yeah, he was really good.
Now I understand Nigel Kelly is the other one. Okay. You're very young. I was looking at his stuff and he had 4 sacks last year. The other guy had 7. I mean, it could be Nigel Leak. They rave about him, but I have to go with Hakeem. And also, by the way, the forgotten man here is Jafari Harvey, okay, who had 7.5 tackles for loss and 5.5 sacks last year. Like everybody's for, I don't know, is he healthy? I think he's healthy. I don't know. He had shoulder surgery yet, but so I think I'm going to go with Hakeem and then Nigelic and / Jafari. What about
you? To be fun, I'll say Nigel Kelly. Okay. They're really high on him, obviously. Yep. Ruben Bain, any shot?
Wow, wouldn't that be something?
It would be.
It would be. I mean, maybe. Hey, what the hell? Maybe it's Ruben, but I'd have to. I'm not going to say no, but I'm not going to say yes either.
That question transitions us nicely to the last one I had on this list is how many freshmen start a game for Miami this year?
Ooh, I forgot that one. I forgot about that one. Just start it all, right?
One game. Start one game.
Wait, it has to be one together? Oh, just to let me.
Yeah. Like
okay. Okay. Who do we got? We got Ruben Bain, Malagoa.
Yeah, we know Malagoa is the one who's going to start.
Ruben Bain, Malagoa, Damari Brown, cornerback. Ray. I don't know. Is Ray going to start? They might start with. I don't know. Okay, let's just say Ray 4. And who was the fifth one? Oh my God, Mark Fletcher, 5. I'm going to say, and the punter is a freshman.
Oh, right. I wasn't thinking about the punter.
Well, sorry, he counts. Okay, so that's.
He does, yeah.
Although I'm very worried about him. We don't have much time. We're going to get bumped off here, but I'm worried about the punting. Okay, I just have to say it. No one has really talked about him. They haven't talked about special teams too much. A little worried about that, but special teams is going to be important, especially in the first couple of weeks. But anyway, 6. I'm going to say, is there anybody else on
the other 2 I would say are worth noting are Samson Okunlola. And Jaden Wayne's gotten some buzz lately.
Oh, too. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he's. I mean, you never know with defensive line; they rotate, but like
I'm going to go with 6. My guess is 6. 6 start games because
including the punter.
Yes. Yeah. Because I'm not sure about Okunlola. It depends how healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I'm not. What about you?
I'll say 5. I agree. I mean, Malagoa. Bain.
5 is safe.
Malagoa, Bain. Well, you took 6. Damari, Malagoa, Bain, Damari, and Fletcher. Those are my guesses for freshmen who start at some point this year.
I don't know if Ray's going to start.
Yeah, I think there might be a little they got slot guys, right? Like, is he ever going to start over Brashard again? Yeah. Wide receivers rotate. It's like not a 1-for-1 thing, but
you're right. You're not counting the punter
and the punter.
Okay, so that's 5.
The punter is like a given because they don't have another punter.
Dylan Joyce from Australia, who we have not talked to, which is kind of interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. That was fun. I'm excited for college football season. I'm excited to watch the Gators tonight. Their first road non-conference game outside the state of Florida since 1991 when they went up to the Carrier Dome and lost to the Orange Men. So,
oh my God, I couldn't stand, no offense, but I couldn't stand covering games in the Carrier Dome, even though we were really low down, less than a minute. It was too loud. We were like right in the crowd, too much.
Yeah. All right. You can follow Susan on Twitter at @SMillerDegnan. Follow me on Twitter at DBWilson2. We will both be at Hard Rock Stadium on Friday night. So be sure to check us out there and check out the Miami Herald. And it is football season. I hope you guys all enjoy it. And we'll talk to you guys next week.